Alright, next up, we've got this, another Euro Pro X. This is a 390H. It was pretty filthy, so I wiped it down before I got started here. You can imagine how gross it was, because it clearly has been stored someplace real wet. And it was given to me because it was, you know, found, I guess. So, well, they said that it was in their apartment when they moved in, but I had to buy a pedal for it to test it out, and I got the cheapest pedal I could find, and it helps if you turn the machine on. So there is a light in it. And apparently this is a no control pedal. Okay. Well, the feed dogs seem to be traveling okay. And when you hit the reverse button, it reverses. Now, the needle is probably out of time, but we'll test it and see. I guess let's get some oil. In there, and it doesn't sound the worst. Here's the bobbin case that came with it. It's got some thread in it. Just and then thread this real quick and give it a check. There it is. All right. This has got the stitch selector dial here with your zigzag width as part of the selector dial. So let's close that. Okay, let's get ourselves a nice wide zigzag and okay. Let's see now. It didn't drop any stitches. It is, however, pulling the bobbin thread up a little tight. What are we at here? Our tension is set at 3 or 4, so that means our bobbin tension is probably a little low, but See our stretch stitch straight here. That seems to be working. Oh, this first spot on the tensioner has got some issues. Okay. So this machine is going to need to get cleaned, and most importantly, this top bracket here I'm going to have to clean up, because it looks like it's either gotten rusty or something. Okay, that's workable. Not surprising, the bottom of this is so rusty, but the machine works more or less, and that means we can set about doing some fixing on it. So, I'm going to start by popping the plate off the bottom here and seeing how bad it is under this plate, or if it's just the plate that's really rusty. And then we'll have to pop that one thread guide out and clean it up, because it was forming a bit of rust, or there was dust or rust coming out of it from the thread passing through it, so I'll have to get that apart and clean it up. These two screws here are for this plastic cover, and I thought that maybe they would all just pop off without any trouble. And there's some surface rust in here, but it didn't get all over the motor, so at least that's a good sign. So, alright, well, I think I can make a dish big enough to soak this in rust remover, and I'll get all the screws soaked, and we'll wipe this off. This belt here, this drive belt, is not bad. It's a toothed belt. I feel like it's loose, but also it's a tooth belt, so I don't think it's a big deal. And since we're down here, we'll pop this bottom off of the lower part of the machine so that we can clean and oil everything. The hook feels good, so that's a positive. This is the second one I've worked on, and I'm pretty sure that these things are, you know, decent enough machines, but they certainly were getting brought in at a price point for the Euro Pro brand, so There's never anything particularly bad about them. They're just, you know, definitely something you got what you paid for. So, all right. Yep. Nothing surprising under here. We'll just dab a little bit of oil in here because we're down here. But this is a relatively new machine, so all of the grease and oil that was put in here originally is still well within its service life. Alright, nothing bad going on under here, so we'll just put this cover back in place. And we'll take this front cover off here because that should be there we go. Yep, and there's the screw that is holding the thread guide here that I need to clean. So you can see it's starting to get rust and peel the chrome on this guide. So that's the spot that we had issues with, and we'll just take this tiny screw out that holds the flat spring in there, and that the spring piece is okay, but this whole, yep, all that rust catching the thread, and that's what shredded it. So I'm going to soak this all in de-ruster, and then we'll polish that up real good and put it back on the machine. There we are. Okay, so this is the thread guide that I removed from that Euro Pro X machine. Remember, it was all rusted and pitted across the top here, and this is where the thread is gonna come through and rub. So I sanded and ground on that with a Dremel, and I'm busy polishing it right now with some 800 grit sandpaper and oil. And I'm just working on it until it feels nice and smooth again. Alright. So as you can see, this bottom cover kind of cleaned up on the Euro Pro. I didn't get it dipped fully, but I did wipe it real hard and thoroughly. And all the screws that went through the rust bath have come out a lot cleaner. So we're gonna just leave that alone, because this machine is hopefully going to find a hard-working home, and honestly, however long it lives up to that is going to be pretty good for this machine. So, and of course, whoever ends up with it can certainly clean it up and do more of their own improvements. like painting this foot plate here. But since this is not going to come in contact with fabric, concentrating on threading these screws in here. But since this base plate isn't going to come in contact with a lot of fabric in the course of use, I'm not going to worry too much about it. And like I said, it's something that is going to be quick and easy for somebody to deal with if they see fit. Thought maybe a little bit of sewing machine oil would help me rub off the rust that had worked its way up the front of the finish, but that is not the case. So okay, and our thread guide is back on top there, so ready to do proper testing on this when we get a chance. Alright, I checked this thread guide, which seems okay, so I ran some 500 grit sandpaper, or correction, 800 grit sandpaper through the tensioner to see about smoothing out and cleaning that, if there's anything in there. And now we'll try this machine again. The fact that it's mostly okay, I might need to check the bobbin hook clearance behind the needle. Which, it occurs to me, I did not look to see if this needle is straight. And this needle is cranked in there. If this needle is crooked, that would be a real problem. Nope, that needle looks straight. Okay. that was it. The tensioner, upper tensioner here, had something in it, and by putting some oiled 800 grit sandpaper through it and just sliding it in and out through there, I caught whatever burr that was and got rid of it. So this stitch went beautifully for a great distance here at full speed. It's got decent tension. This Europro X 390H is ready to go back into service.